What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, today I watched the docuseries about Aaron Hernandez entitled Killer Inside, The Mind of Aaron Hernandez, right? So I watched it. It's available for everybody to watch on Netflix if you haven't seen it. And let me just say, wow. Wow, that docuseries was greatly done. It was done greatly. And let me just say this. This docuseries provides context to the person Aaron Hernandez was and how he lived his life. I'm going to start off by saying this as well. There is no excuse, and I repeat, no excuse for the heinous atrocities that Mr. Aaron Hernandez committed at all. There is no excuse for what Aaron Hernandez did, and I will never sit here on this channel, on my YouTube channel, and try to make excuses for him, nor will I try to make an image of sympathy. What it did was it provided an explanation for the erratic person that he was, and it provided it provided context to his violent nature as a man, as a human being. When we watching this docu, first of all, let me explain who Aaron Hernandez is. Aaron Hernandez was a famous football player, a tight end for the New England Patriots, who had a profound career ahead of him. So profound, he earned a five-year extension for $40 million playing with the New England Patriots after showing great promise over his career. Like, in a rookie season, Aaron Hernandez had more receptions and yards than what Rob Gronkowski did. And we know what Rob Gronkowski did for his career in New England. He was the man, and absolutely hands down the best tight end in the game for a very long time until injury stopped him. So that was just like a depiction of what you could, not a depiction, but it was kind of like a way to estimate what type of career Aaron Hernandez would have had eventually. But this docuseries takes us back to the beginning of Aaron Hernandez's life. Aaron Hernandez grew up in a home with both parents. He didn't grow up in the hood. He didn't grow up in the mean streets of a lot of these inner city areas that a lot of people use as a clutch or crutch as to why they get into a lifestyle of crime, why they have violent behavior in them. A lot of people say I came from violent communities and neighborhoods. Aaron Hernandez did not come from that. He came from a nice community in Bristol, Connecticut, a fairly nice community, went to a regular high school, and he was a star of he was a star of the football team in his high school. He went to the same high school that his father went to. His father was a hometown hero, was a great football star at the same high school Aaron Hernandez attended, and went on to UConn and had a pretty good career at UConn. Same with his brother. His brother became the starting quarterback at UConn. So Aaron Hernandez was expected to do the same thing. He was expected to flourish in high school, which he did. He was the player of the year in the state, and he was expected to go on and play football at UConn as well. However, a lot of events happened in his life that would alter that course. Aaron Hernandez grew up in a household where allegedly there was abuse in that household. He saw his father be abusive towards his mother. I believe his father had I think they said this, he might have had a substance abuse problem with alcohol or something like that. And he was abusive to their mother, right? And ultimately his father also was a person who he provided a lot of structure in Aaron Hernandez's life. He was an ultimate disciplinarian. He disciplined Aaron for a lot of things that he did. And he was also a person that was considered homophobic. He had no tolerance for any type of homosexual behavior at all. It was even said that Aaron Hernandez, when he was like 8, he wanted to be a cheerleader because he hung around his girl cousins, and that's what they wanted to be. So he was like, he wanted to be a cheerleader. And his father nipped that in the bud at all, and he just would talk disparaging about homosexual individuals. So, and his father just always had a close hand on Aaron and trying to guide him all the way through as best as possible. And Aaron was so afraid of him that he stayed in line whenever his dad was around because he never wanted to get out of line with his pops. Ultimately, his father died, I believe, when he was like 14 or 15. Y'all can remind me. Was it 15, 16, 14, 15? Around that age frame. His father passes away. Immediately after his father passes away, his mother gets involved in a relationship with Aaron's close cousin's husband, right? So the mother starts sleeping with their cousin's husband, and it leads to a tumultuous relationship with Aaron and his mother. Their relationship becomes strained because he feels like his mother is just vile. Like, how could you sleep with our cousin's husband and then bring him into, because the guy eventually moves into Aaron's home, the family home. Like, how can you have him coming in here replacing dad? And he's sleeping where dad slept and chilling on the couch where dad slept, just sat in the couch, and it would just create a hostility. Aaron ends up going to the cousin's house, the cousin that was married to the guy. Aaron ends up going to her house all the time, and at her house he can do whatever he wants to do and get into anything that he wants to get into. And that's when you start to see Aaron start to spiral. His life started to spiral out of control, right? The telling thing that I really noticed when I'm watching this documentary, when his high school teammate, his quarterback on his team, alleges that him and Aaron had a sexual relationship, that they were involved in a sexual relationship. They were both bisexual, and they experimented sexually with each other. And one thing that I thought was that, and again, this is all alleged. This is all alleged activity. This is what the quarterback says, that him and Aaron was engaging in. Aaron is not here to tell his side of the story. However, if this were to be true, this would explain why Aaron was so trying to be over the top. He was so violent, right? Trying to overcompensate for the fact that, hey, he was living a life where he was a closeted guy. He was in a closet about his sexuality, and to appear masculine in a sport that had just involved so much machismo, so much testosterone. He wanted to still be viewed as a man, even though he was engaging in acts that a lot of people would frown upon and not look at as manly. So he would take his anger to another notch in order to prove his manhood to other people, which would oftentimes lead to him flying off the hinge and doing some of the most heinous things that you could ever think of. Some common things that a regular person would not turn up over or not even get mad about, he would just take it to the 20th power just to show that he was still a man and try to display his manhood as a way to hide anything from being leaked out. So you would never question his manhood or ever question, how much of a tough guy as a man he was, because he felt like some of the acts that the sexual acts he was engaging in with his quarterback would be looked at as feminine or not man-like at all. So I think it really made me think that's maybe why Aaron was acting. He would take everything out of control all the time just to try to compensate for the fact that, he tried to compensate for the fact that who he really was would not be accepted. So he had to put on a facade. And I believe that led to him getting into a whole bunch of other things. Also, it could have been to the fact that Aaron just wanted to prove himself in front of people and wanted to be tougher than what he really was in front of a lot of people. But if that story is true about him, having a sexual relationship with his high school quarterback, it makes it all clear that maybe that's the reason why Aaron he was fighting something. He was fighting his sexuality and trying to possibly hide it as best as possible. And violence was the way that he would try to hide it. We also see that during his time, when Aaron, because at the end of the day, this is what Aaron becomes convicted of killing his friend, who happens to be the brother of his fiance. So Aaron has a fiance. He goes, first of all, let's go back, because I'm skipping all over the place. Excuse me, you guys, I got notes and everything. So after the sexual relationship with his quarterback, he still, he goes on and goes to college at University of Florida in Gainesville. While he's in Gainesville, he starts to become heavily tattooed, but hey, it is what it is. Kids get tattooed all the time. That's not really no big deal. But while he's down there, he starts to gets into a lot of violent actions. Like, it was one where they recounted a time where he was at a bar and he was getting drinks and he didn't want to pay for his tab. And so he knocks out the bartender or the owner of the bar or whatever. He knocks him out because he don't want to pay for it at all. And he gets away with it. He starts to get away with a lot of violent actions, or several violent acts, while he's in Florida. And he's able to get away with it because he's hiding under the umbrella of the University of Florida football program. And in small places in the South, especially in these southern regions that they don't have no professional team, these certain cities and towns are built around the college. And the college serves as the identity for the whole community. A bartender is not going to press charges against Aaron Hernandez because, one, he's not a scrub. He's a flat-out baller. And you know that if you get Aaron Hernandez suspended, that people are going to look at you like, oh my God, you putting us in, the town is going to look at that person and say, oh my God, you filed charges. You're putting us in jeopardy of not winning a national championship because one of our best players is not available. Because when the news hit national media, the coach is forced to suspend the player or try to reprimand him in some type of way, which they're forced to do that, even if they don't want to, because national attention has been put upon that person if they press charges. So a lot of them won't press charges because they don't want to be looked at as the bad guy in their town. Aaron becomes privy of this. He becomes knowledgeable of the fact that he can get away with a lot being a star football player in Florida, so he continues to do what he wants to do. And when a person is not reprimanded for their actions, when there are no consequences for the things that they do, they continue to do so because they know that they can get away with it because as long as they ball out on the field, they can do whatever they want to do. And Aaron continues to, he displays those things, but still ultimately he says the right things around the right people. He charms the right people in order to get into the doors that he needs to get into. He eventually gets drafted, I believe, in the 4th round. He slides to the 4th round, all due to the fact of character issues surrounding him. Now look, I was at this time frame when Aaron Hernandez was at Florida. I was a big college football guy. I was watching all the guys. This was when Tim Tebow was reigning. He was reigning supreme in college football era. And he was the man. And Aaron Hernandez was a big target of his. Aaron was a tight end. And like, I promise y'all, he moved like a wide receiver. Like, no lie, he moved like a wide receiver. Big, strong guy with good hands. Like, he was agile, he was quick. Like, he was super talented. So Aaron jumped off the screen a lot of times. And that's what ultimately led a lot of people like, oh my God, he's a great player, but they strayed away from him due to character issues. Ultimately, what's my man's name? Robert Kraft and also Bill Belichick ended up talking to Aaron Hernandez's college coach, Urban Meyer. He kind of convinces them, hey, Aaron will be good. You got to keep a hand on him. He'll be fine. He'll be mature. He's a great player. And the Patriots, they all about winning. So they went and grabbed Aaron Hernandez alongside of Rob Gronkowski so they can have the tight end tandem, like just the best tight end tandem you would ever see. And hey, it's successful. Aaron gets to the league. He does well for himself and he balls out. Earns a $40 million contract, right? But for those who don't know, 2 days before earning a $40 million contract, Aaron Hernandez allegedly takes the life of 2 Cape Verdean immigrants while he's at a club, right? He's at a club and he's chilling and they all having a good time. Him and his buddy, his guy, whoever he was a sketchy character he was hanging around from the jump. But Aaron attracts those individuals because his character is all across the wall because he's battling a lot of he's characters all across the wall because he's fighting within himself, possibly his sexuality and possibly the hurt of his dad being gone, while also it's revealed that he was his brother said he's sure of the fact that Aaron's brother says he's sure of the fact that Aaron was sexually abused by a babysitter of theirs, when they were children. And I think all of that, he's dealing with all of that. And all of that's bottled up. And so he's taking everything to the extreme whenever he has an interaction with somebody. Somebody step on, I'm just giving a description of something that could possibly happen where Aaron's anger was. Somebody could step on Aaron's shoe and Aaron be ready to fight. So they go out and they have a good time, and a guy allegedly spills a drink, and some of it gets on Aaron. Aaron ready to fight. He gets out of control. Aaron's friend convinces him to leave. Hey, we get up out of here. Leave him alone. We ain't trying to do that. Let's leave. The guy says that Aaron spots as they're leaving the club in the car. Aaron spots the guy's car. He spots the guy who spills the drink in a car. In some other car. He tells his friend to pull up alongside of them, and Aaron fires into the car, killing both of those individuals. It's alleged. Now, Aaron was acquitted of those charges. He was acquitted of those charges because they were able to prove some doubt by saying that witness was not a credible person and he has sketchy behavior and he was the one who possibly committed the crime. But a lot of people feel like Aaron was the one who did it. and firing a car into firing a gun into the car of some guys that spilled a drink. That's irrational. Like, that's irrational behavior. That's erratic behavior. That's not rational. That's not normal. And it leads us to know like something not right with Aaron. Something's not right with him at all. And then also the guy alleges that like 2 weeks after that fact, the guy that he was with, he says that he makes a comment about, because they went to like some strip club or something in Gainesville, I believe, Tootsie's or something like that. And when they go in there, Aaron says, man, Aaron becomes paranoid after the incident. Like, oh my God, he thinks police are after him. So he like, I think those guys with low haircuts or whatever, I think they police. And and the guy says, well, if they are, they here for the stupid shit that you did when the stupid shit that you did a couple weeks ago. Aaron gets pissed, he gets mad. They end up leaving Tootsie's, the club, and then the guy falls asleep. He says when he wakes up, Aaron has a gun pointed in his face. When the guy tries to get the gun out of his face, Aaron shoots the gun, and it wounds the guy, and the guy's eye gets messed up in the process. So this creates a character analysis of who Aaron is and how erratic and how high-strung and how irrational he is and how violent of a person that he is. And we like, damn, why is he so... You like, damn, why is he so... He is wild. Like, what the hell is going on? But again, I think it all leads to the fact that maybe he was trying to possibly, because it's all alleged, possibly trying to compensate. Is overcompensate a word? I'm not sure. I keep saying it. He was trying to make up for the fact that, hey, he was possibly living a life. He was possibly living a life that he probably was interested. He was bisexual. He was into men, and he didn't know how to come out about that. So it led to him doing he tried to keep his manhood secured in some way by being extra violent, extra aggressive, so people would never come into question about it or never even try to wonder about his sexuality in any type of way. Later on, we come to find that Aaron allegedly kills. He sets up a friend of his, Odin Lloyd, to be killed. Again, I remind you all, Odin Lloyd is the boyfriend of Aaron's fiance's sister. So Aaron's fiance has a sister, and the sister of Aaron's fiance is dating Odin Lloyd, and Odin Lloyd and Aaron become friends and acquaintances after just being around each other from, they dating sisters, so they're around each other a lot. They hang out a lot. They kick it a whole lot, and they say that the alleged motive could possibly be that. I don't know how true that part is either, because they never proved it to be true, that maybe Odin Lloyd may have found out or caught Aaron in an uncompromising position with another man and found out some things, and I don't know. Either way, they set up Odin Lloyd to be killed. He is killed. He's taken to some area not too far from where Aaron lives, and he's killed, right? And he ends up going to jail for it. What I find completely is so crazy to me, while he's talking on the phone to his fiance at the time, Aaron is getting mad. Like, it never clicks. He never understands the severity of what's going on. It never clicks in his head. He never gets scared. He never even is like, he never even sounds super worried, even though he's facing life without the possibility of parole. And one of the, I don't know if it was the warden or one of the officers, the COs in jail, say, most of the time when high profile individuals come into these prisons, we put them on suicide watch. We watch them closely because a lot of them are prone to want to commit suicide, and they can't handle it in here. They're ready to go back to the free world. Aaron Hernandez was acting like, hey, this ain't nothing. Hey, this is just like training camp for me. This ain't no big deal. This ain't nothing. He was adjusting to the life perfectly fine. I'm like, wow, like, and in the phone conversations with his fiance, like, it was just normal conversation, like as if Aaron was just like in a hotel or on a road trip with the team, and he was having a regular conversation with her. Everything seemed to be all good on his accord. And I'm like, damn, like, does he know this? He's registered in his mind that he is possibly not going to ever get out of jail. Like, and he talks about it, but he's like, it don't click at all. What also is something that is just crazy to me, that they said that Aaron came to Bill Belichick head coach of the New England Patriots, and told him that like he wanted to be traded because he feared for his life. Living in the area where he was playing. And Bill Belichick told him, "Nah, you good. Basically, nah, you good. We ain't trading you. You too good. We ain't trading you up out of here. You sit down. We put you in an apartment somewhere off in the boondocks, somewhere far away. We'll set you up in an apartment where nobody know you'll ever be. But you ain't getting traded from this team. That ain't happening. You ain't leaving this team at all, and that ain't going down." Bill Belichick was thinking, "Hey, we need you. You stand right here at all times." And I was just like, "Well, damn, like." But it is not surprising to me because the Patriots, they want to win. So they don't care, wait, we're going to keep you as best as possible. But in light of finding out about the murder of Odin Lloyd, it just shows like the whole murder was so careless that I'm thinking like, wow, like Aaron was really off the hinge, and he wasn't, like he just was a violent person. He didn't give a damn. Like he didn't give a damn what happened or what was going on. It was just like a regular walk in the park for him. Like he didn't care nothing about what was going on. It was just a regular walk in the park for him, it seemed like. But moments before killing Odin Lloyd, they see a video of him in the parking lot dancing and having a good time, and knowing that he has made up in his mind he's going to go kill Odin Lloyd. He's going to go kill a guy that's supposed to be his friend. He dancing, having a good time like it's all good. And I'm like, wow. He goes in there getting some bubblicious gum. All that he and just like acting like everything is normal. Then he turns the car in I think it was the next day, he rented the car. The car was rented under his name. They returned the car to the car rental place. In the car, the lady finds blue bubblicious gum that Aaron, I believe, offers to her. Like he offers her blue bubblicious gum, the gum that he bought right before Odin Lloyd was killed. Then they found like a gun shell in the car. I'm like, wow, like he didn't think to even search the car for none of this. It's like he didn't care. Like he was just like, it's whatever. And I'm like, wow, like this, he didn't think about this at all. Like, I mean, he didn't even, and that showed me that Aaron was just an unhinged person, and he was capable, like any minute, you make him mad, he's capable of hurting you like fatally. He's capable of hurting you fatally. And to him, it's just going to be like, hey, it is what it is after the fact. It is what it is. And I don't know, it's just so crazy, man. And then I'm hearing him talking to, I believe, his agent at one part. This is chilling part. The chilling. He's in jail, and he's on the phone talking to his agent. And the agent is telling him, like, I think Aaron was asking about his endorsements. Like, hey, his agent is telling him, hey, we're losing endorsements. Nike, he makes a joke like, hey, Nike doesn't find putting a Nike swoosh on an orange jumpsuit marketable. You in jail, they don't find that marketable. He makes a joke about it, right? And Aaron says, hey, how about let's see if we can get a deal, an endorsement deal with Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson gun company. Like, can we get let's see. And Aaron starts laughing. And I'm like, wow, this dude, this is chilling as hell. Like, he's acting like ain't nothing. Like, that's when you know a person is just, like, he's gone. That person is gone. That person is just like, is a dark person. For real. When he starts laughing, I'm like, what the hell? Like, because the heinous atrocities he committed, and if he making a joke about that shit is unbelievable. And the sad part about it is my heart goes out to the families, man. My heart goes out to Odin Lloyd's family. Like, I'm looking at Odin Lloyd's mother and the strength that she displayed through all of this. I hope I didn't say Odin Floyd throughout this. Odin Lloyd. I'm looking at Odin Lloyd's mother and the strength that she displayed. I was like, oh my God. How can you do it? She's sitting there and she's like talking before the courtroom, and the judge told her not to show any emotion, but she's talking about her baby who's been murdered, and the murderer is sitting right there. It's like, how can you try to control? How can you try to control your emotions at that point? It's hard to do that. My heart goes out to the Cape Verdeans, the two Cape Verdean men, their family. They were gone, and then Aaron got acquitted of it. And nobody, I don't believe the other guy was charged with the murder. So no, they never found justice for the killer of their family member. That was horrible. And my heart goes out to Aaron's young daughter. His family, like Aaron's family didn't want him to be no killer. They didn't want him to be no killer, no murderer, none. His daughter, of course, now his young daughter would rather have her father there. But Aaron's actions led to him being put in prison. And then there is one point in there when he's having a conversation with his fiance. And he's asking his fiance, the fiance say, hey, they keep coming here. They come in here and a warrant has been issued for them to search this house. And she's agitated, of course, because police keep coming there. She got so much police activity in her home that was once, I don't know if it was ever peaceful in there. But, I mean, they didn't have police activity running all up and through there. Camera crews weren't coming there. She like, they keep coming and searching, and she's agitated. And he like, why you giving me attitude? And she like, Aaron, police are coming and searching the house. And he like, yeah, but you ain't the one in jail. You free. You free. And she like, yeah. She said, but they still here. I mean, you free though. So what you like? I'm mad because you the reason why these police are here searching the home while their daughter is in the house. Like, it's crazy. But he just didn't have any type of, didn't show any type of remorse for those things. And one part we see him crying when he gets acquitted of the murders of the Cape Verdean man. But I don't think it was because he felt remorseful or he felt like, I got off for something and I didn't do it. Even if he didn't pull the trigger, he had something to do with that for sure. But I feel like he was crying just because somebody actually believed him, and he actually got somebody to get him off, or he ultimately didn't go down, because if he would have got booked for that, it wouldn't have been no chance of anything happening for him. And ultimately, we didn't even get to see if he would get out of jail at all. We didn't even get to see that even try to play out at all, because at the end, Aaron Hernandez takes his life. We learned that he commits suicide, and correct me if I'm wrong, I learned that if a person, because I think that trial, the Odin Lloyd conviction was getting appealed, and in the process of an appeal, if a person dies in jail, the charges just get dropped and it goes away. And if the charges go away, Aaron Hernandez is not convicted of the murder. And at that point, the Patriots would owe Aaron Hernandez the rest of his money, and that money would go to Hernandez's fiance or his wife. I believe they might have ended up getting married. It would go to his wife and his daughter. So people feel like Aaron Hernandez committed suicide so that his wife and daughter could get that money. And they could live the rest of their lives without any financial worries. Right? But it was just a sad story all in general, man. I felt for the Odin Lloyd's family, the Cape Verdean men's family, Aaron Hernandez's daughter and all that. Like, and Aaron Hernandez's brother was just like, I can tell he loved his brother and generally. But he like all of that stuff, he feels like a lot of this stuff was triggered from things that happened in Aaron's childhood. Him allegedly being molested or sexually abused as a kid. And also possibly that him being sexually abused could have, what's the word I'm looking for? It could have impacted his sexuality in a way that maybe he was he's in the closet about his sexuality. Not in the closet, yeah. It may have impacted his sexuality, and then he was in the closet about it, and he was so scared to come out in the profession or in the regular world. He was a football player, a big, tough, strong football player, and he wanted to hide it so bad that he was willing to do any and everything to try to mask it, just to show that he had some type of masculinity about himself, that he was a strong man. And let me just say this too. A lot of people go through things in people's lives, and a lot of things happen to people in their childhood, but that never, ever, ever, ever justifies killing somebody, being violent to people, harming them, and threatening people. Now, that never justifies any of those actions. Even if a lot of people go through things, that does not justify anything that he did. It just provides some context as to why Aaron was such an off-the-hinge, violent person, possibly. This is possibly the reasons why he was like this, And it was just chilling, man. It was just chilling to watch and read, man. Seriously. Man, I just was just like appalled by everything I was finding out. Like, man, when they was talking about it, they end up saying he possibly had a lover in jail and all of this, possibly. But the way that the people on the journalists on the radio went about divulging or revealing that information, it was just so it was so distasteful the way they did it. Like, it was just like, oh my God. Even if it was, like, damn, it was so distasteful. But at the end of the day, even though it was distasteful, you like, well, what the hell do we need to be tactful about a guy who took people's lives and killed people? So I understand that too. You're like, well, why should we be tactful about that at all? But people feel that way for sure, and I understand that definitely. So again, I'm not excusing nothing Aaron Hernandez did. He committed vile atrocities, did some horrible, horrible, awful things. And then too, speaking about that, right? When we talking about him trying to compensate for not trying to compensate for trying to show he's a man, trying to show that he's a man's man and he's, he has all masculinity running through his veins. When he's in prison and you see transgendered individuals in prison, he's on the phone calling them things and its and things and all of that. And his girlfriend is like, why do you call them that? They're regular people just like you. Stop talking about them like that. That's not nice. That's not cool. She's like, I got to teach you how to act. And that's what they're called. That's what they're called. And I think he even called them its on the phone with when he was talking to his mother. His mother like, don't be like that. That's not cool. Don't be like that. But it could possibly be that Aaron was acting like that because he was trying to hide something. He was trying to suppress who he really was. He was trying to keep that hidden for a very long time. And it just seems like that, man. And all of that, trying to suppress all of those things, he became he became a violent person. And then it comes out that he had CTE, right? And a lot of people are like, well, could that be the reason why he was acting like that? And if you ask me, hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not going to use CTE as an excuse for why he was acting the way he acted and in the behavior that he showed and why he committed those heinous atrocities. I believe CTE does, and it's been proven to affect your decision making for sure. But I still think Aaron was contemplated doing those things, whether he had CTE or not. I believe that he was just, because I think he showed signs of being off the hinge when he was in high school. And I don't know if he had CTE back then or not. But I just believe he was an off the hinge person. And I think it just made some things worse in some situations, possibly took some things a step further. But I don't think, I'm not blaming the things that he did on CTE. I'm just not. I just think Aaron was that's the life that he was living. And he was just like that. And that was just the behavior that he exhibited. And he was just a vile person. He was just a violent person. Violent person. And a violent person that committed heinous acts and didn't have no remorse for him. And unfortunately, because of that, he was taken away from his daughter. And he ended up taking his life ultimately as well. And it's definitely a sad story for those families that were all involved. Just a sad story for the families that were all involved. And when people asked about Aaron's character, everyone vouched for his character as being a stand-up guy. They never saw none of that coming. They always like, oh my God, I never even seen that he was this type of person. Could it be that they're lying or they just don't want to make Aaron seem bad because they had personal relationships or personal friendships with him? That could be true. But it could also mean that Aaron knew how to flick the switch and turn it on and off around the right people, which tells me that even though he may have had CTE, he still was able to make judgment on who to behave erratic around and who not to do that around as well. Like, he knew not to act up around Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick. He knew not to do that around Urban Meyer. Like, he knew not to act up around people of power. But when it came to people that he had more power than, he did whatever he wanted to do. And he imposed his will and showed his power in those situations. He was more powerful than Odin Lloyd. He was more powerful than the Cape Verdean guys because he was a football player with status, with money, with fame. In college, he didn't have money, but he had fame, he had popularity. And he had the fact that he was a football player on his side. And even when you got a lot of status, even the police will give you leeway. Because again, especially in a small town, you a big star player, even police will give you leeway to get away with things. And Aaron had been getting away with things for so long that I believed he thought, hey, I'm in the NFL. I just got this $40 million contract. I'm in Boston. I'm doing my thing. I'm in Massachusetts, and I'm big. I'm a big man in town. I'm one of the big men in town. He wasn't Tom Brady big, but he was one of the big men. He felt like he can do a lot of things he wanted to do and get away with it. But ultimately, that's not how life works. You know that, and I know that, and Aaron had to pay for those consequences. But if you haven't seen that documentary, check it out. I think it's a very insightful. Well, I just gave away everything. If you so spoiler alert, I'm gonna put spoiler alert in this video. So I gave away everything, but you still should check it out if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix, man. Machiavelli Mills TV. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like the video, share it, subscribe. Peace.